welcome to an episode of Life Stories of Marty O'Connor. I'm Marty here in Melbourne, and thank you for joining me, whatever part of the beautiful world you're in. And my special guest tonight is Margaret Brandman. Margaret is an Australian multi-award winning composer, performer, recording artist, author, and publisher of a wide range of educational materials with acclaim worldwide. Margaret's works range from orchestral works to solo instrument pieces, songs composed across a wide range like contemporary, classic, jazz, Latin America, and lots more. Now, you can read all the front of that. Now, I'm going to cross over and play a couple of things for you here, and you can listen, and then Margaret will pop up at the end of this. We'll cross up to Sydney. So have a listen to this, and we'll cross over to Margaret on the other end. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Margaret Brandman. That was a short section from my work Autumn Rhapsody for solo piano, which appears on my Sensations CD. For over 50 years, I've worked in the music industry as composer, performer, author, arranger, and music educator. I'm pleased to say that I'm achieving ongoing success and recognition in the traditionally male-dominated field of composition for my works recorded by the Moravian Philharmonic Orchestra in the Czech Republic, for my Sensations CD, for my Cosmic Wheel of the Zodiac song cycle recorded by the Prague Choir, and also for my Warm Winds in Havana suite for saxophones and percussion recorded in Cuba. Much of my music is composed to bring awareness to the beauty and fragility of the landscape, flora and fauna of Australia. As you may be aware, Australia has recently experienced devastating fires and loss of wildlife. I too experienced and fought the bushfires which burnt part of my house that I was living in the Blue Mountains west of Sydney, and where I subsequently composed the music for Firestorm Symphony.
Margaret, welcome to the show. Lovely to see you.
Oh, and you too, Marty. Lovely to speak with you.
Well, it's a great honor to have you on the show, and we've just heard some of your music and some of your photographs, and we'll see some more as we go along through the show. But wow, what a talent. And I must start off with the conversation is your music. I've only got to listen to a lot of it over the last week, and I'm addicted.
Oh.
It's moving, it's calming, it's exciting, it's vigorous, but without me going on, I'm just going to say I'd like to start off. You've been doing this for over 50 years, and I know you're passionate, but I want the audience to know. We've already spoken, but you started at the age of 4. So can you start back and tell us where did this come from?
Yeah, well, it's a musical background. My mother was a music teacher. My dad played the violin and piano, and all his siblings played an instrument. They came from Berlin. They fled the war to come to Australia. We had an amazing story where the New South Wales Commissioner of Police, William Mackay, sponsored our family to come to Australia through a chance meeting that he'd had with them in Berlin. So we have an amazing family story background, and the reason my parents connected in the first place was that they were in a music club in Berlin together, or they were the music was the thing that connected them. Anyways, they married when my mother arrived in Australia, and when I was about 2, she started teaching, and I'm sitting there watching her teach. And the story goes, instead of looking at my toys that I had there, I watched every moment that she was teaching, and by the time I was 3 or 4, they said, "What are you going to do?" I said I was going to be a music teacher. So,
Oh,
and then I started at the age of 4 because my mother taught accordion and piano. I had a tiny little accordion about this big, and at age 4, I started playing. And then about age 6, I took up the piano, and it sort of went from there. And ended up at the Conservatorium of Music High School in Sydney and took up the clarinet as well. And then I pursued, but after 10 years of playing, when I was about 14, I was sick of playing all the exam pieces and everybody else's dead white men's music. And I
yeah,
decided
yeah.
I decided it's about time to start writing my own. So I did a composition for high school. I ended up being third in the state for music the year I graduated. And then I went on to study composition with Peter Sculthorpe at Sydney University.
Mm.
And meanwhile, I was teaching and I was performing. I started to join bands. And apart from the classical training I had, I played a lot of modern music, swing and jazz and Latin American in professional bands. So I was teaching and I was also performing and earning a living while I was doing uni. And so I had many experiences of different styles of music all the way along, which have all sort of meshed together in my compositions now. All that experience just seems to come through. And I'm very lucky because when I sort of sit down at the piano and improvise, a melody comes, a thought comes, and then it's a germ of an idea, and then I go, oh, I'm going to work on that and develop it. So, all those influences have gone
You kind of took my question there. Thank you for that. So
together.
I don't have to do that. Is yeah, the inspiration and what from you inside, as you just were alluding to there.
Yes. Well, sometimes people ask me to write something and they commission me and say, we'd like you to write something for a particular group. Or I've just come across some musicians and they said, would you write me something? Other times I've had work with lyricists and we've had a theme in mind. Um, One lyricist I've been working with and a lovely lady singer, her name is Desiree Regina. And Desiree and I met up by chance. I've had lots of chance meetings in my life, which have led me in amazing directions. And she's a very fine opera singer. So we wrote a song cycle together called Songs of Love and Desire.
Mm.
And shortly after that, she met the man of her life after writing the song. So,
Very profound.
and we're actually going to do a concert this coming Sunday together. So we've been friends since 2000, written some music together, done some performances, and we're about to do, pick up the threads and keep doing some more performances now, singing some of those songs and some other ones that I'll talk about shortly. Um, and I'll talk about this a bit later, but one of the inspirations lately has been my colleague Vov Dylan. Vov is a violinist, and
Yeah.
he heard one of the pieces that I'd written many years ago called Jacaro Rumba d'Amore, and it's in the Australian syllabus for grade 7 violinists to play. And so many people play this piece for their HSC on their, final exams and uni. Anyway, he liked the piece so much, he said, would you write another 7 pieces and we make a whole suite of it, which is
Yeah.
called La Vida Apasionada. So I'll talk. So, yes, so we might listen to a little bit of one of those at the end, when we finish up. Yeah, the inspiration comes from all different places. A couple of years ago, when it was raining so much here in Sydney, I think it was called a La Nina year, where we had just 6 months of solid rain. I
Yeah.
wrote an orchestral work called Gentle Summer Rain. And I was thinking it was August, it was raining terrible, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice just to have some gentle summer rain rather than this rain that's coming down. So I ended up writing that one, and that's been recorded by the Moravian Philharmonic Orchestra, and it's been on air on ABC Classic here and in America several times now, which I'm very pleased about. I that you sort of talked about my music being calming. There are calming sections in that, but also where you sort of hear the wind and the rain coming, and it gets dramatic, and then it comes back to the sun coming out. So that was inspiration for that. Another inspiration was when I lived in the Blue Mountains, raising my wonderful children, Evan and Jeremy.
Yes.
Um,
Hello, Evan and Jeremy.
Okay. um, we lived through the bushfires in 1994,
Oh,
and then in 2001, the veranda of our house was on fire. So I lived through two amazing bushfires, and the result of that is my Firestorm Symphony, where I wrote three movements where in the first one you feel the heat and the wind starting to pick up and the danger is there. The second movement is you've got the devastation and lots of crying, and so the themes are sort of descending themes. But then there's a little bit of hope at the end of it, like the birds are coming back. And then
yeah.
the third movement is my experience of where I lived in was in Glenbrook in the Blue Mountains, and I used to go walking at the Bluff Lookout, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. I could send you a photo of. I just went there last weekend, as a matter of fact. And Australian trees, they survive fires and they pick up again. The eucalypts, after a few years, or no, not even.
Which obviously leads to the koala bears getting. We've
Yeah,
seen the fires with the animals as well as the
yeah.
plants. Yeah.
But the eucalypts pick up after the fires. Some eucalypts actually need fires to regenerate. Um,
Ah,
and so I'm walking through the forest again and starting to see all the leaves coming. And so the third movement is all energy and life coming back. And it's actually quite funky, a funky symphony, because I can't really stop myself putting a bit of jazz and Latin and things into my sort of serious music. So, you listen through and you go, oh, well, that's quite erudite here. But then suddenly you get the rhythms and
and Margaret, just to click in there, I don't know if we skipped over, but how did you go? What was your creative side during the lockdown, if you don't? Yeah.
Um, well, that was really interesting because that during that time was when Vov contacted me and said, "Look, we can do this. Would you write this music?" He commissioned me to write the pieces, and then he said, "We can go up to a place in the Blue Mountains which has six separate rooms, and we can mic up all the players in separate
Mm.
rooms because we're." COVID separated, and we recorded this La Vida Apasionada suite, which is now on an album, the ensemble version, in isolation. Each person was in isolation, and we were following the rules and not being too many people together. But
Yeah.
we did something really creative in that time. So we used it to its best advantage. Yeah, so and just I was just still doing a bit of teaching. So the second side of I actually last year I was asked to do a talk for Sydney University graduates. It was called the Occasional Address. It's like the pep talk for people going out. They get their degree and they go out. So I
Yeah.
talked about. They asked me because there were composition or music students and education students. So they said, could I speak to them? And I said, well, there are two passions in my life, music education and music composition. And in the music education, I have a philosophy which is the art of 100 questions. So if I've taught a student a topic once and I expect them to know it, it's my job as a teacher to ask a question to get the answer out, because the word educare comes from the word education comes from educare, meaning to draw out
Mm.
area. So I know the information's in there, and I ask the student one question, they'd say, I don't know idea. And then I have to ask another question. I might have to ask 100 questions in different ways to draw out the information. So I talked about that from the education point of view. And then I talked about my passion for composition as well. So it was I think they liked the talk, and it helped them, have some ideas to go out into the world. Um, but I've been writing music education materials since the 1970s. And as I said to you, I've been learning since I was 4. And I was learning the traditional system. Um, but then I found it just really wasn't working, learning all the names of the notes and all the rhymes that people teach. And I was presented with music in C clef. Now, the only musicians would probably understand what that means. Um, when I at uni, and I had to read, and it put me back into the shoes of a beginner. What does it feel like to be a beginner reading music when you have no note names, nothing to really a reference point? So it was intervals is the word, and so you're looking at the distance between notes, not what one note at a time is, but how far bom bom, how far away it is. And then I using an easy language instead of the number, which is the normal way of doing it. You call them seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths. I used easier language, which was step, skip. Then I've got skip plus 1 for a fourth and jump for a fifth. So with the 5 fingers on the piano, then you don't get the finger numbers mixed up and the note numbers.
Ah,
And it's a very much more simple system of learning, which is now all in my contemporary piano method, and has been. And I've got a junior primer for the littlies, and I go right through to advanced level in the tertiary level in the number. It's actually called book 4, but it really is the 7th book in the series. And I've got theory books and oral. So I was doing lots of things to try and help people learn music, and people still are using it and liking the ideas. And I have a little boy who's been with me about a year and a half, and he's flying with the method. He's loving it. So
and Margaret, can we just jump in for a second? Is I know your passion, we've spoken, is music is such a gift. And we did speak about my mum was a great violins player and she was a great singer of Dobo. And also for mental health, it helps people to kind of just chill and in all genres. But I find that, and I know you're a big advocate for mental health, but your music, and again, as I repeat, I've been listening to it. It's so it's so just relaxing, and taking music is joy, as I know is your passion. So that's just my question there to you.
About the creating music to bring happiness. I Years ago, when you were learning, you had to do what I call scratchy music, very very dissonant, very angular music. But I thought, I can't do that. I can't write like that. I've got to have my melodies, and it seems to be, thank goodness I've got this gift for melody, and I bring it in, and I'll go along and listen to my own music in the car, and I'll sing along with my own music because because it's got melody, and that's why people are grabbing onto it and liking it. Yes, that seems to be a big one. And as I mentioned, my colleague Bob Dylan, he plays my music on the cruise ships. And he plays the pieces from the La Vida suite on the cruise ships, and he sent me lovely videos of people cheering at the end of the piece of the music, and so they're all happy with it. And then he said that they want to go. The band needs to go and play the music so they can go up and dance to it as well. So that's the joy of doing that. And with the bringing joy and happiness and things to the planet. I'll mention I wrote an article for Wellbeing magazine in 1998, which is called The Power of Music, and I'll have a copy up on my website at some point. But at that time I was really investigating music for the babies, music for the elderly, music for the brain, music and color connections, and the music in the chakras, how it affects all of that. That's in an article. So I've been interested in music for healing for many years. And then my colleague, Benita Rayner, came to me, and she's an astrologer and a poet. And she said, I have an idea. Let's do one song for every sign of the zodiac. And her lyrics are so wonderful and so much about the human condition, even if you don't believe in the zodiac as such. Words like, make our souls go higher and higher, and we're planetary healing are in many of the lyrics of the songs. And one of them is called Cosmic Fire, and that's one I'm wondering whether you'd like to put that one on now and show people about it's the Sagittarius song, and about shooting higher and higher for the stars. Cosmic Fire, that's the one.
Cosmic Fire. Can we play that now? Joe, can you run that? And then we'll come back in a second. Joe. Wow, Margaret, that's very powerful.
Yeah. If you hang on for 1 second, I'll just run down and get the lyrics, and I might read a little bit of the lyrics. Can we pause for a minute or not?
Absolutely. If you want to go and grab them, we'll pause that. I'd love that.
From?
Go ahead, yeah.
This is the album, the Cosmic Wheel of the Zodiac album, which was recorded. Actually, the choral version was done in Prague, but the clip we've seen is the Sydney version of it. But there's beautiful. This is our book, and we have the lyrics, and I have the music in the middle. And I was just going to read you a tiny bit from the Cosmic Fire.
That would be lovely. And we will put up the connection for this book so people, if they want to contact about it. Go ahead, please,
Yeah.
Margaret.
Do you want the whole? It's not that long. Shall I read the whole lot?
Yeah, go ahead. Why not? We have
So
time.
this is the song, the Sagittarius song. Shall I show you the truth? Merge our vision with the stars. Cut the ties of earth and everything that mars. I will shoot my arrow and free us for all time. From the petty ties that bind, we'll leave them far behind. Cosmic fire shooting higher than others dare aspire. Create a living purpose in the here and now. Justice is a healing stream. Sow the seeds of knowledge glean. Sow the seeds from mind to mind. Sow the seeds from mind to mind. Why are we all here? Can we do it better? On this sad old world, release us from our fetters. Cosmic fire shooting higher than others dare aspire, to where our souls belong, to where our souls belong, higher and higher.
That's beautiful.
This is my wonderful colleague, Benita Rayner, who
We
wrote
can't
that.
see it on the screen, but we'll put that up there on that.
Later. Yeah.
Wow. Now let's move on a little bit because you're fascinating me. I know the audience are.
Yeah.
Is that we want to know more about you. So,
okay.
And also, if I may chuck in, I know you're passionate of educating younger people.
Yes.
You have spoken. You've seen Summer Giddings, horror music, and I mean, what a terrific! And it's people like yourself with your passion. You could have just retired, but no, you don't. You're still going, and that's as I don't mean that like say going, but going is to educate the younger generation and people. So
yes.
Please carry on.
Yeah. Well, I do. I've been educating the young ones, and you know they're with me sometimes for 5, 7 years, and I see them growing up, and they start little as toddlers, and one just finished his high school certificate, and I accompanied him for his clarinet part. And he played the piano piece that we learned together, but he also clarinet. But the funny thing is that we went into the examiner, and then the examiner, Robert, said to me, "Do you remember me? I was one of your students." So James had been with me 10 years from the time he was done it. And I also teach his sister Roisin and his other brother Patrick. So I've had this family with me so quite some years, and they love it, and they're playing all sorts of instruments, and they play at church, and so I've had a lot of students over the years, and some of my students have gone on to be composers and music educators. In fact, Benita's daughter, Cassandra, that's how I met Benita originally. She went on to be a school music teacher, and she's got children of her own now, but she's doing music education full time. And people that I've taken, another lady called Julianne Spicer, and I started teaching her when she was 6. And I think we had at least 10 years sessions, and she's made a whole career of playing music and jazz over the years. So I've taken a lot of younger people, and they've gone through and become professionals and done wonderful things in music in their lives as well. So
is that your reward, to give the gift of music?
Yes, and I think the music is so all-encompassing when you're starting with a young one, because you're teaching, in my books particularly, you're teaching language, you're teaching maths, you're teaching pattern recognition, you've got the fine motor, you've got the emotional side. So it's not just music you're teaching a broad range of skills that go out into life and help people in, everything, whichever way they want to go in life. Um, so
And
it's
giving them confidence.
confidence, yeah, and enjoyment, and skills.
Mm,
It's quite a big range of things, and there's a lot of research now in music for the brain, and particularly they
mm.
say, if you want a child to be good at various things, don't give them an iPad, just give them a musical instrument because of the complexity that's involved. Plus you're actually touching something and using your fine motor
But you're
skill.
not just touching, you're creating something by even just streaming it. A computer does it for you.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm agreeing
yeah.
with you there. Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm playing the piano, I feel like the piano is playing me because a proper grand piano, there's so much many vibrations coming from the actual instrument. That sort of comes up and tingles your fingers. So it's a mutual um, self you know, self-helps or whatever the thing. But I play the piano, but it also gives me pleasure because I'm getting all the vibrations from the instrument and the sound from the instrument, and that's, it's a two-way street. It's really quite interesting.
That's wonderful. Can you tell us also now? Tell me your worst moment and your best moment in your career.
Oh,
I know, I'm sorry. That wasn't rehearsed. Well, I don't
I
rehearse
wasn't here.
anything, do I?
Well, that's the worst moment.
Go with the best, first of all.
How many bests can you have?
That's right.
Well, the most recent best was being at Carnegie Hall in New York,
Mm,
where my music, the Bossa Sonora, which I arranged for cello and piano, was performed. And I traveled there and I was invited up on stage to take a bow. So I think that's one of the big
mm.
highlights. Um, just working back a little bit, in 2025 when we released the La Vida Apasionada album, can you see that or not?
Yes, I can see that, and we will put it up there.
Yeah. So when we released that, also about a year before that, or 2 years before that, a lady I met by chance, one of my lovely chance meetings, Sylvie Carter. She's an artist, and we were watching the Archibald Prize here in Sydney, and we met and we sat on the bench together, and she said, I'm an artist. I said, I'm a composer. She said, I've never painted a composer before. So she ended up doing my portrait, which which was interesting because the day she delivered it to the Archibald Prize, Channel 7 was there, and they photographed that portrait of me, and I was up on the news. And there's a picture of me and Peter Dutton on the news. But it didn't get in. But she decided very generously to donate it to the Joan Sutherland Performing Arts Centre in Penrith, which is where we had our launch of our album. And so we both played all the pieces and launched the album, but also donated the painting to the Joan Sutherland Centre. And I'll be the first composer hanging in their conservatorium section. So that was another nice highlight. Um, and other ones were like going to the Czech Republic, to Moravia, and being in the concert hall while my Firestorm Symphony and all the pieces for my Sensations album were being recorded. That was 2015, and that was very special being there with the orchestra and sitting in the control booth with the producer and saying to um, the conductor, could you play that bit a bit faster? Really tweaking how they played my music. So that was good. And then I came all the way back to Sydney, and a few months later, I went over to Cuba for recording as well. So I
Oh,
recorded my Warm Winds in Havana suite for saxophones and piano and percussion in Cuba. So that was an experience going to Cuba and being there for a week.
that's your Latin music side, is it?
Well, I had actually written those pieces before I got there. And so yes, so the Latin things and all of those were in the music that I wrote before I went there, but when the producers or Palmer Recordings were calling for scores to go on the album, they probably rightly thought my music fits the sort of feel and genre that they're trying to achieve
genre.
in the
Yeah, yeah,
album.
yeah.
And the album is called Abrazo, which in Spanish means hug.
Ah,
Yeah. Um, and the reason for the title for my piece is I was actually in Havana and it was warm. It was really warm. And there were warm winds, but it's a play on words because saxophones are woodwind instruments.
oh, I didn't
So,
know that. Yeah.
yeah, so saxophone are woodwind. So warm winds in Havana has a double meaning. I do a lot of these sort of double meaning things in my titles for my pieces. Um, you need to sort of look closely at the title and think about why I did it. But yeah, so it seemed really appropriate to call it Warm Winds in Havana, mainly, for my experience of being there, and also there were woodwind instruments that I was writing for. That particular work is published in Germany. I have publishers with Furore Music. They publish only women's music, and they have been publishing a lot of my things for about 20 something years now, and that one's with them. And I have recently done a string version of that, so it's also available for a string quartet, and it was selected by the American String Teachers Association about 2 years ago for their virtual reading day. In other words, that everyone got to have a look at
Yeah.
the music and give it a go. So it's been out there. Um, yeah, so there are many highlights and interesting times.
Yeah, yeah, Margaret, you didn't answer my question. What
Yeah,
was your load time?
load time. Very hard to say. Very, very hard to say. Um, I've just been having so much fun. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a good, I love that. That's a good answer.
I've been having too much fun to have low times.
No,
Um,
and we did speak, as I said earlier, but your passion is, I'm in awe of your passion. And I believe, from my personal point of view, because we're going to wrap the show up shortly, but from my point of view, is you're an inspiring and like talking to you, your personality is almost like your music, if I may say that.
Thank you.
You have it lovely. So I want to let you finish off because we've got a lot of your music coming on here at the end and some lovely photographs. I'm looking forward to that, and people can follow you. But what what advice would you give to young people? It doesn't matter what they're playing in music. What advice would you give to them from all over the world?
Um, well, it's perhaps give up your iPads and get pick up a real instrument, play in a band, have the lovely connection with other people that you make in a band,
Yeah,
and that synchronicities and all the smiles and the delight when things happen and you're playing in a band and everything comes off together, and it's such a wonderful feeling. So yeah, just stay a little away from electronics and get more into the real life music and musical instruments and
yeah,
voice and sing.
and you're dealing with people. It's camaraderie. A machine will not talk back to you what
That's
you're saying. The same as I see these people with these electric bikes. Get a real bike. Get exercise.
that's it.
You know.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. Yeah. So there's, I've got people coming with their electronic keyboards, but as soon as they come in and play a real piano and it's
Yeah.
another level again. But at least if you have a digital piano and you're making music, that's a great thing. And I wish everybody so much fun doing what they do in a musical situation, and lots of lots of wonderful chance meetings, hopefully. I've had amazing ones in my life. So I'm going to one day write my synchronicity book where write all the
We
patients
spoke
down.
about that. You need to write exactly. And you know what? You're an inspiration, but also the joy that you give. And I've only got to know you a couple of weeks and listen to your music. It's absolutely amazing. So I want to thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And as we're going to close off, and there's some lovely music and photographs coming on the end here, and all the connections to contact Margaret. And there's so much more on YouTube, Spotify, everything is Margaret. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty. That's wonderful.
Thank you to our audience here in Australia, New Zealand, and all over the world. And please follow Margaret. You'll see on the end of it. But stay on here and have a look at this. And thank you for joining us. And I'll see you on the next episode. Margaret, love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty.